Saturday Social is powered by FIFA 22 with PlayStation.
I've got in my script, mate. 4-1 loss to rivals City. You obviously know that, but just...
Thanks, Smith.
The last game was against Atletico, wasn't it? 1-1 draw.
Shame. It wasn't, obviously, the best result for Man United. And after the game, Roy Keane... Brilliant listening to Roy Keane, isn't it, on Sky? Anyway, this is what Roy Keane had to say after the game. Take a listen.
There's ways to lose football matches, but the way we saw Man United today, whatever you say when you play them, you still play with your own bit of pride. Whatever's going on in the dressing room, and we hear noises all the time, or we hear about problems, obviously, with the new manager maybe coming in and recruitment. But your own bit of pride eventually has to kick in at some stage. And there was players there, and we're watching it live, and I'm looking at them, and I'm getting really frustrated watching it because I'll forgive mistakes, but you got to run back. There was players, I'm after right now, 5 or 6 players. I think you should never play for Man United again. Just shameful that you can't run back, and you can't put your body on the line, and forgive the lack of quality against Man City in the second half, because Man City are excellent. They've been excellent for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Fantastic team. That's why they're the champions. But Man United, a derby match today, the subs coming on, you're hoping they'll have an impact. They're not prepared to run around. A couple of lads in midfield, Wan-Bissaka, Fred, Maguire, Rashford came on. I could go on.
Not happy there, Roy Keane, was he? I mean, the words of should never play for Manchester United again did leave Roy Keane's mouth. So today, we've got the Saturday Social whiteboard. It was in for part one as well.
Why it's
just
there.
hanging around for part one, but it's in again now. I feel like we do this feature once a season. But we're back again. Okay. It's the Man United squad. Stay or go. We've got a huge Man United fan, Dave, in the room. So should we just crack through position by position here?
Yeah, the rules are simple, I presume. If you want him to stay, he goes and stay. Want him to go, he goes and goes.
Self-explanatory,
yeah, there we go.
Some would say.
There we go.
This is going to be tough.
It is.
Very, very tough.
Start with the keepers, shall we?
Yeah, let's just start with the keepers. Obviously, David De Gea, Dean Henderson. David De Gea this season, fantastic with the gloves. I think that's one of the big important things that we've got to, saved United 10 extra goals in terms of expected goals. But looking forward, if Eric Ten Hag's going to come in, that's where I'm going to do a lot of this sort of stay and go is going to be on the back of that. Is he good enough with the ball at his feet? That's the question.
Are you about to say you're going to get rid of... I didn't see it going this way,
No,
Dave.
I didn't.
You're going to save me, Rory. You're going to make the final call.
I think David De Gea is probably Manchester United's standout player this season.
Definitely player of the year.
But then I do understand... How important do you think it is, then, that he can play out from the back using the goalkeeper as a sort of sweeper?
Very, very important if Eric Ten Hag comes in. Andre Onana, very good with in that Champions League run with the ball at his feet. I think because he's, he's...
No, he's staying.
He has to stay.
He's their best player this year.
Is if David De Gea, you're thinking about David De Gea to go, I mean...
Yeah, this spells...
What's going to happen?
Don't worry.
What Roy Keane just said then? He just said, you got to listen to Roy sometime.
Oh, definitely. I'm just saying he, as Roy said, he's been,
And Roy has had some strong opinions on David De Gea over the years as well, hasn't he?
So Dean Henderson, the next one. I think that's a go for me. I think even on loan or a sale with a buyback like Chelsea do quite well. I think he's got to go for himself. Yeah, he's got to play football.
12 clean sheets in 26 appearances last season. He also had the best save ratio of any keeper. I think people are quick to forget the season he had last season. Obviously, he'll be looking at the England goalkeeper situation. Do you think a loan move or move would suit him, bearing in mind the situation with England goalkeepers? Because obviously, if he's not playing...
No, I don't think a loan is the move for Dean Henderson. I think he's done that. I think he needs to go and play football and
has to go for you.
I think he has to go. Yeah, I think Dean Henderson needs to leave. I think it's best for the club. It's one of those moves where everybody wins. Whatever club he goes to gets a good goalkeeper.
Get a good fee.
Exactly. He gets an opportunity, and Manchester United don't really need him around the club. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, agree with that.
Defenders.
Victor Lindelof. I think he's probably been Man United's most consistent centre half this season for his performances, but then that's not that difficult to say. I'd say keep Victor Lindelof because I think a few of the other defenders might be on their way out. So he's someone that I think has the ability, could play right back as well. I'd like to see him there a bit more. He's a good ball player.
Wasn't sure about his performance at right back against Atletico.
But I don't think they used him in the right way. They didn't build with a 3. It was still a back 4. And, if you do that, you want to roll them over, you want to push Luke Shaw up or inside. Didn't happen. But, the next one, I think Eric Bailly, it's time for Eric Bailly to maybe move on for his own sanity maybe. New deal, hasn't really played at all. Feel for the guy. Phil Jones as well. I think I can go through these pretty quick. The same thing.
33 Premier League starts in the last 5 seasons combined.
Yeah. Injury record's just been so
Phil
bad.
Jones go for you as well.
Yeah, just gutted for Phil. Like, great player, great talent. Just been so unlucky with his knees. Really sad story. Next up, Harry Maguire. Probably a little bit more time on Harry Maguire. I think when you look at last season, I think you comfortably say one of Man United's better players. I think you could say around the Premier League was
great
one of the
Euros as well.
Best centre-back, great Euros.
He came into that tournament late because of the injury and obviously played well. And
I remember being in the Europa League final without Harry Maguire and everybody going, this is a disaster to lose Harry Maguire 2 weeks before the Europa League final. That was a hammer blow. So that's a sign that he was
as well.
essential.
Yeah, he's not though. He is the captain, but I feel like that was something that did him a massive disservice. He isn't a captain of that club. When you think about the weight of expectation that comes with that armband, when you think about the legends and icons that have worn that armband at that club, Solskjaer did him dirty with that. He wasn't ready for that. He isn't that kind of player. He's a decent defender, but he isn't an icon of the Premier League, which is what you have to be to wear the Manchester United armband. I think it's really weighing heavy on him.
I think, from a sense, if you can get him back up to that level of that season, I think that year won 75% of his aerial duels, won 72% of his tackles. They're elite numbers. They just are. That's elite level.
And he played very consistent. I feel like that was the main reason that he got the captaincy. Was he was extremely
most minutes
consistent
in the Premier League for any United.
Never injured, and then he got injured.
So I think with Maguire, I think with this situation, I think he stays. And getting back up to that level under Erik Ten Hag, who's a very good ball player, carries the ball out from the back well, with an actual possession structure, I think he's fine.
I'm surprised by that. I would have said go. I genuinely would have said go for Harry Maguire. I just don't think he's good enough to play for Manchester United. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I think he is a good player. But when you think about the club that Manchester United are, they are a club that over the years, historically, have demanded excellence in every single position. This geezer's not that. He's not close to that. He's a decent defender for a decent club. But he's not a Manchester United player, and he's certainly not a Manchester United captain.
Okay, strong words there. Strong words. We've got him in the stay for now, though. Dave's ultimate decision. Who have we got up next?
Staying. Big Harry's staying. Next up, Rafa Varane. I think an interesting signing. A signing that you look at his injury record, you look at what he did for Real the season before he moved to United. Probably not the correct decision, but I don't think you get rid of him now. The issues have been the fitness. Having a real run of games and a partnership with Lindelof and the partnership with Maguire is so important, and that's something that he needs to, be definitely working on.
When he's been fit, I think he's actually been
he's been very, very good. 100%.
When Manchester United have this season been slapped up, whether it's City, whether it's Leicester, whoever it is, when they get battered, he isn't there.
Yeah, I thought it was really noticeable missing against Manchester
Manchester. The stats there as well. He's right, Roy. He conceded 0.8 goals per game when he starts, compared to 1.9 per game when he doesn't start this season. So,
yeah. So we'll throw him in the stay category.
Definitely.
Go on. Next time we've got we'll rattle through some of the other defenders. There's a lot of players still to go.
The defence is a main issue. One of the main issues. There's about 34, but
we'll throw Diogo Dalot straight in to stay. In terms of his performances under Ralph Rangnick, been fantastic.
Why is he suddenly not playing? What's going on there? Because I thought he was really good at the start under Ralph.
Or a little bit of whatever, and we've stiff throat, whatever we call it these days, and that's probably getting back into form of fitness. But you can see when he's not playing that it's so noticeable. And you look at the defensive side of things that he gets criticised for wrongly. Most tackles, most interceptions since Ralph Rangnick's come to the club.
Yeah,
and he's a brilliant footballer, and it's someone that I feel that you can build around that. You look at Matt Sarawi at Ajax, plays an inverted role, very, very free. Diogo Dalot could do that for Erik Ten Hag, so you keep him 100%. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's an interesting one because I think there's a very good player in there, but it's about that coaching side of it. I think footballing-wise, decision-making-wise, sometimes could do with some, a few sessions here and there.
So is he going? Where's he going?
I'm going to defer to Rory. Dave,
I think you know what?
I think there's potential.
You're a kind and generous man.
Yeah.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka is undoubtedly in the go section.
Undoubtedly.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not a Manchester United player. Remember who Manchester United are when we were growing up, Smithy.
Yeah, they're very
Manchester
good.
United, exactly. But that's the standard.
Yeah.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka's nowhere near that.
Okay, let's keep going.
He's gone. Next up, Alex Telles. I think Alex Telles stays. I think he's got enough quality from set pieces.
Straight on to
Luke Shaw.
Another interesting one in terms of, had good Euros, good season last year. I think he was in the PFA Team of the Season, was he last year? England, great player in the Euros. Where do you put him? Stay or go?
I think, again, new coach comes in that can utilise someone like him. Daley Blind for Ajax plays that third centre-back. Luke Shaw has got the potential to do that.
If it is Poch that comes through the door, has had a great working relationship with Shaw in the past at Southampton as well?
Only Bruno Fernandes created more chances for Man United as well. He's got to put him in the stay category.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think definitely with him, you've got another player that's got massive amount of potential with it. Yeah. Next up, Brandon Williams. I think for Brandon, I'd say
another loan
another loan would be there. So we'll throw him on as well. Can play inverted. He's very aggressive player. The little hug with Christian Eriksen as well. We all love that.
Moment,
so nice moment, a little loan spell. Next up, Paul Pogba.
Big one.
Should we come to Rory here? Because obviously.
As a neutral.
Yeah, when you haven't got a dog in the fight, sometimes it's easier because there's no emotion. Like, obviously, for Joe and Dave, they're looking at this through emotion and love, whereas I can just kind of look at the players. To put it out there, I think Paul Pogba is a sensational talent, one of the best footballers at the club, and is good enough. You know, when I talk about the standards, I think he is good enough, but he doesn't display it enough. He's inconsistent, and I think that for all parties concerned, he probably, I would suggest leaving. Do you boys
agree with that? About that? What do you think, Joe?
Personally, I think he is probably the most naturally talented player at the club. But I think for the sake of Paul Pogba's career, he needs a fresh start. I think Paul Pogba needs like a new club, new coach, new system to thrive and get back to the level that we've seen him display in the past, which is one of the best midfielders in the world.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing about it. You watch him at Juve. I used to watch Juve a lot just because of Paul Pogba. I don't know if we've seen that enough at Man United.
As well. And for France behind him, as well. Kante does that job. Pogba frees him up, doesn't he? It's interesting. A lot of players that play with and against him always single him out for technical ability, don't they? In terms of how good he is. But I think Rory makes a good point about consistency, which a lot of pundits have mentioned. We need to push you for a stay or go.
I want to see Paul Pogba play good football out of contract. I think the big thing with Man United is if Ralph Rangnick keeps saying it. If you want to be here. If you don't, that's fine. And that's something there. And look, Paul's a brilliant player. 9 assists in the Premier League. That's very, very good.
Donny van de Beek?
Donny van de Beek, I think at the same time, a go as well.
Even if Erik ten Hag comes in. Who's worked with him before extensively, got the best out of him.
That's interesting.
Can we move it? Can we move it to stay? Sorry, that's a great point.
Talking about Erik ten
it's a great point.
Decisions up here.
We've got to keep him for that reason then. If Erik ten Hag's going to be the manager, I think.
Completely changed Statman Dave's opinion there, Joe.
I'm sorry to Donny. I want to apologise. Sorry, that's a great point. The big thing with him, second striker in that system works very well. Nemanja Matic, what great player, but I think it's probably time as well for him to. Pastures new. Fred.
Start with Rory.
Come on, Rory.
Fred. Rory's eyes telling a story.
I think that Fred is a decent player. I really do. I think he's a good player, and under a different manager could be brilliant. The fact that Guardiola was so keen to sign him does tell a story. I think that he probably deserves a shot under a new manager.
Okay.
Scored more league goals than Lionel Messi this season, so I don't even know why this is a debate.
There we go.
Good old Fred stays in.
Debate over a bit, then there's a big.
We'll come in eventually. We'll come up.
Formation.
Scott McTominay next. I think, for me, there's no debate about this.
United fans love Scott McTominay. Now, that is a consistent thing I hear from yourself, from you, from a lot of people. He's a big fan favourite, isn't he, Scott?
Absolutely. He's from the academy, knows what Man United means. You look at these big games against Leeds and Liverpool, City. You need players that get it. You need players that are going to go in there and throw a big tackle in.
He seems to as well. It's not a reason to stay or go, but epitomise what it means to play for Man United. Even I know it's a small thing, but coming out and doing the media interview afterwards and speaking quite honestly and openly about it's not good enough. I thought it was quite a brave interview for him to do after a big defeat.
Can I ask you boys a question though, Manchester United fans? I get it. The emotion is so important, and the fact that he goes flying into Leeds players when you're playing when you're playing at Ellen Road, I appreciate that you're always going to love that. But the fundamentals here. Is Scott McTominay good enough to play for Manchester United?
I think he is. I genuinely think there's actually been quite a lot of progress in his footballing style over the last 18 months, especially when it comes to ball carrying. And he might not be the first name on the team sheet in a Champions League level side, but in terms of a squad option, I think Scott McTominay is absolutely fine.
That's the biggest thing, continuous improvement through your career. We saw that with Darren Fletcher. Great example of a player that just got better and better and better and better. And I think Scott McTominay is that. You mentioned the dribbles. Only Jadon Sancho's carried the ball more than Scott McTominay since Rangnick joined. I just think there's no reason to. There's not a reason.
Crazy situation, isn't it? Paul Pogba is in the go and Scott McTominay is in the stay.
But he's out of contract, Pogba as well. So I think that does play a factor, trying to convince him to sign a contract when Scott's obviously on a long-term deal. Who we got next?
It really upsets me to do this. I'm sorry. I'm looking at him and he's looking through my soul. One matter.
Former Chelsea man, Rory.
Oh, one of the best. I mean, he was sensational for us. The year that we won the Champions League, he was our Player of the Year. I love the bloke, but I think you are correct. I think he does need to leave.
Okay,
who's next?
Bruno Fernandes.
Definitely stay.
Easy one, isn't it? Sure.
Simple. Directly involved in 60 Premier League goals since he joined. Only Salah's more. That's a simple one. I think the exciting side of that is he's putting these numbers together under managers that have struggled a little bit with their style. It's Erik ten Hag with Bruno Fernandes. Berghuis, right, for Ajax is turned into one of the best 10s in the world. I think it would be incredible to see Bruno Fernandes in that system and that style. Yeah. Next up, we've got Amad Diallo. Probably stay. Yeah. So that's
not another loan move. You've got, Brandon Williams in there as a potential.
No,
loan.
I think I'd keep him. I think it's get him in the first team, see what he can do. Good option off the bench.
Interesting one next.
Anthony Martial.
A lot of talk about Martial. Obviously, loan move. Straight in the go category for you?
I think so, yeah. For him, for Man United, it doesn't really make sense. He wanted to leave in Jan. I think he wants to leave, so don't stand in his way. It's as simple as that.
He had a moment where he didn't want to play for the club as well, didn't he? I think once you've done that, it's over. You've shown a disrespect. It's an honour to play for that club, and if you don't want to take that honour, then you should probably leave.
Yeah, it'd be tough to see him stay, do you think?
I can't see him staying, but it depends who the manager is, isn't it? I think I could see Pochettino really liking a player like Anthony Martial coming off that left wing, but he wanted to leave, so I can totally see it.
Next up, Jadon Sancho. That's a simple one, I think, as well. Yeah. Easy one.
Been brilliant recently.
Yeah, directly involved in 4 goals in his last 5 Premier League games. We forget the talent he was. I think we forget that he was up there with Lionel Messi in terms of goals and assists.
Bundesliga last season in the Bundesliga. 2 years in a row as well.
It's just a start, which is really exciting. That's super exciting for Man United fans, Jadon Sancho, and that's something that we've got to look for in the future. Next up, Jesse Lingard.
A lot of talk about Jesse Lingard, isn't there, with the contract situation, the loan move he had at West Ham.
This feels like a simple one for me, though.
Yeah.
He's also openly wanted to leave the club, hasn't he? And I think it's just another player that needs a fresh start. He's going to be a brilliant player for someone, but it's not going to be Man United.
And I think that's for Jesse as well. It should have been the summer he should have gone, really, for him, personally for him. And I think that's something that should have gone. Next up, Anthony Elanga, Rhythm is a dancer. There's no question here. Absolutely in there. The work rate, the directness, 19 years old, great role model already, apparently, for other Man United players. Simple as that. As we mentioned before, 100% of his goals come away from home, including against Atletico Madrid, which was a big goal. Next up, Marcus Rashford.
Huge talking point.
This splits a lot of people.
Yeah. We saw Ralph Rangnick yesterday, didn't we, saying, if he wants to go in the summer, he's free to go.
Can I get Rory's take on this as a non-Man United fan? What do you make of everything that's going on with Rashford at United? Because he, for years, seems to be someone that epitomised love playing for the club, coming through, as such a young player. What do you make of the whole Marcus Rashford situation?
I think it's so difficult because Manchester United fans, and football generally, I think, loves Marcus Rashford. Yeah. But Manchester United fans obviously feel an attachment because he's been there for so long and he's had such brilliant moments for the club. But ultimately, I don't think he's good enough to play for Manchester United. I don't think he is the level of footballer that people anticipated him being. I don't think he's the level of footballer that people hoped he would be. And Manchester United fans back him, they're desperate for it to work for him. But ultimately, he isn't good enough. He isn't a good enough player. He's had some terrible moments for the club lately. And I just don't think he has enough to play at this level. He's a very good footballer. And he will be a fantastic acquisition for a particular club. But I don't think he can do a job for this Manchester United team.
I absolutely disagree with that, Rory. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to come in there and say I do not agree. 17 Premier League goals, 19-20 is a big one. But we forget that he was the 3rd top scorer in the Champions League, literally last year behind Haaland and Mbappe. You've got a player there with really good quality. And he's in a bad moment right now. It reminds me quite a lot of Sterling in a sense, where Sterling's always gone through this massive hero arc. Yeah, best player in the world, worst player in the world, best player in the world. And it feels a little bit like that with Marcus Rashford. And in a sense, does it mean that Marcus Rashford should leave the country because of the media? He's done some incredible work with children over the last 12 months. That's almost gone. Why? This guy's an absolute legend of a person. He's a brilliant human being. And I also think he's a great footballer. I really do believe he's a good footballer.
I think if we judge it strictly on football, keep it strictly in a footballing context, I don't think he offers enough to this Manchester United team. I don't think he gets in. If you think about where Manchester United want to be, Manchester United want to be competing for the Premier League title. When you think about who they're rivalling, Marcus Rashford is nowhere near any of the teams that are going to want to win the league.
But as well, I think United have let him down in a sense of the amount of coaches that have come through that may have not grown him as a player. And I think someone like Erik ten Hag with a Marcus Rashford, he does great work with wingers, really good work with wingers.
He has to take some responsibility for his performances because they have been so bad.
Absolutely, but I think the potential for me as a fan of the club, you keep him for that reason. But at the same time, if he wants to leave, then that's fine. That's absolutely okay.
I don't think you're going to agree. Something tells me on a stay or go category here.
Yeah, I think we'll go stay. I think there's big potential there, and let's give Marcus a little bit of a break in a sense of, there's been injuries, there's been this, there's been that. The club's in massive turmoil. Playing on the left wing is a big thing, and I think that's something that needs to start for the back end of the season. If it's a development year, as we're going to say it is, if United can't get top 4, which is a big game, obviously, this weekend against Spurs.
Yeah,
that's the case. Live on Sky. If that's the case, then Marcus Rashford left wing for the rest of the season. Why not?
They've got a rattle from the final.
The last two, unfortunately, Cristiano Ronaldo.
go.
And Cavani.
We've got to talk about Ronaldo very quickly.
Did that one very quickly. I'm surprised there wasn't more debate about that.
Man United fan, Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
Why does it go for you?
Bottom 1% in Europe for pressures as a centre forward. Unfortunately for me, Gegenpressing FC. That's just not for me.
Dave, just to run something past, I did see a stat. You're going to love
it.
He's purely singularly responsible for 10 points in the Champions League. He himself won Manchester United 10 points. Is that not a demonstration that he is, on some level, valuable to this team?
He's only scored 1 goal in 2022.